Welcome back to my channel, Star Booze.
He portrayed the wealthy hillbilly who hit oil. However, in reality, Buddy Ebsen's last years weren't at all affable. The adored Beverly Hillbillies star passed away in silence, sad situation, abandoning, deserted house, and a path of questions that remain unaddressed. His household life, luck, and farewell. Wishes paint a more heartbreaking image than fans have ever seen envisioned. This is the little-known tale of farewell to Jed Clampett's actual existence. Not the professional life of Buddy Ebsen, but his personal, the element of life that merits the most focus. 1935 saw Buddy Ebsen began an important phase of his private life after getting married to Ruth Cambridge. Their marriage signified the start of his family's adventure man. As time went on, the pair was fortunate to have 2 girls who. Their family life was centered around this, but in spite of the initial optimism in their marriage, the expansion of their family ultimately resulted in a divorce. This first marriage's dissolution was a watershed in Ebsen's history, although it did not lessen his enthusiasm for friendship or kinship. After 9 years, 1945 Ebsen married Nancy after falling in love once more. One of his fellow lieutenants, Walcott, had most likely met while he was in assistance. This union was significantly longer and had more children. They had 4 kids together, as well as Ebsen, establishing a vibrant home full of, with the pleasures and difficulties of parenting kids. Kiki was one of their children. Later on, Ebsen would make her own standing as a gifted artist and performer, continuing the family's artistic heritage. Buddy and Nancy's marriage lasted for almost 4 decades, demonstrating their connection and dedication in the face of change. But even enduring partnerships go through trials, and in 1985, following 39 years jointly, their marriage also ended in an result in a divorce. This occasion signified the end of an important period in Ebsen's life, since he had devoted a large portion of his mature years caring with his enormous Nancy by his side, family. The daughters of this marriage to Ebsen, Bonnie, Kathy, and Kiki, created a similar enthusiasm that might have echoed the family's propensity for punishment and commitment. All 3 turned into competent equestrian ladies. Their accomplishments in the world of horses showed a combination of grace, athleticism, and tenacity, qualities that reflected their father's own enduring passions for physical performance and fitness. Afterwards, in 1885, not long after he separated from Buddy Ebsen, and Nancy started a new partnership, not getting married to Dorothy Doy, who was significantly younger than him. This third marriage was unique in personality compared to his other marriage. This did not have any children. Marriage, but it was a novel friendship throughout the later years of its existence. Dewey introduced a new dynamic to the life of Ebsen, helping him as he moved energetically through his senior years and zeal. Beyond his personal connections, Buddy Ebsen has a wealthy, diverse existence full of many passions that demonstrated his diverse character. Of these, his enthusiasm for folk art was particularly noteworthy. As a person, Ebsen, an artist, showcased his inventiveness. Through crafts and painting, an endeavor that might have related to the artistic setting fostered by his mother when he was little. His traditional artwork was a personal happiness, but also a continuation of the expressive abilities that had established a large portion of his career. Another noteworthy, he collected coins avidly as a hobby. Ebsen was captivated with numismatics. More than a light-hearted hobby, it was a severe undertaking that resulted in the Beverly Hills Coin Club was co-founded in 1987 with Chris Ale, an actor. This club turned into a meeting spot for enthusiasts and collectors who exchanged enthusiasm for precious and rare coins. Ebsen's private holdings were amazing, including precious and uncommon fragments, like a $4 gold coin worth an incredible $200,000. His collection was regarded as a priceless asset, treasure and was in great demand. Some of it was offered for sale at different auctions before to and following his passing, letting other people enjoy the amazing items he had collected throughout the years Ebsen stepped into his in the 1990s. He kept up an impressive level of activity that shows the vigor and curiosity that has marked a large portion of his existence. 2 years before to his passing, he accomplished a noteworthy literary achievement with the release of his best-selling book, Kelly's Search. This achievement highlighted his ability as a performer as well as artist, but also as a storyteller who can enthralling readers with engaging stories. Besides Kelly's Quest, Ebsen wrote a number of other pieces, demonstrating the range of his interests. These included Polynesian Idea, a book that examines sailing and adventures at sea that show passion for travel and the sea. Additionally, he wrote his memoir, The Other Side of Oz, providing readers with an open and intimate peek into his remarkable life and career, extending his literary repertoire. Sizzling Cold Case, which he wrote, a mystery book based on his function as Barnaby Jones, the detective, combining his acting profession with his passion for narrative. Ebsen was a political figure backer of Barry Goldwater throughout the 1964 U.S. president election, standing in solidarity with the campaign of conservative senators from Arizona during a turbulent time in American history of politics. The life of Buddy Ebsen concluded amicably on July 6th. He passed away from respiratory failure in 2003 at Memorial Medical Center in Torrance, California's Torrance. He was 95 years old, elderly. His longevity served as evidence of a life well lived, characterized by fortitude, inventiveness, and a persistent passion for the numerous adventures of life. After passing away, Ebsen was buried at Pacific Crest Cemetery, located on Rundo Beach, California, a tranquil location of ultimate rest close to the neighborhood where he had lived. Regarding residences, Buddy Ebsen's properties have garnered interest of numerous admirers. First, his early years house. He lived the first few years of his growing up in a modest but special house situated at Lebanon Avenue, 805 in Illinois' Belleville. This 2-story brick home located in a peaceful the town in the Midwest was more than just a home. It was an area that influenced a young boy's formative experiences who would go on to become adored in entertainment in America. Up until the age 10 years old, Ebsen resided there with his family, encircled by the routine rhythms and the beauty of a little village that only Belleville might make an offer in the early 20th century. The house itself was a classic building, of the time, robust and modest, with a cozy, welcoming presence that demonstrated the personality of the family residing there. It appeared as evidence of the ideals and goals of the Ebsen household, especially the father of Buddy, Christian Ludolf Sr. Ebsen, who served as both the head of the home as well as a man of a great deal of inventiveness and self-control. One of the choreographers by Christian Sr.'s career was profoundly devoted to tangible culture, and his impact on artistic expression influenced the family's daily activities and the structure of their house. Among the most one of their favorite features was the backyard, which had a particular significance in the community's and the family's heart. Christian Sr. had brought in a swimming pool that swiftly grew to be called Ebsen's Pond. Beyond merely being a family-friendly facility, the pool was a vital communal function. Christian Sr. instructed teaching local kids to swim, assisting them in acquiring a crucial ability in a secure and supportive setting. Above, Ebsen's Pond was enlarged throughout time and transformed into the Belleville Swimming Pool, a public space that offered leisure and education to generations of inhabitants. However, after several years, the pool finally closed. Its heritage was still connected to the Ebsen contribution of the family to their hometown. In 1918, Buddy was around, 10 years old, the household moved to Florida, signifying the conclusion of his youth in Belleville. In spite of the action, there were still recollections of 805 Lebanon Avenue, vivid and significant to him all the way through his existence. This strong bond with his roots was effectively illustrated in Numerous after several decades, in 1992. At the age of Buddy Ebsen went back to Belleville at the age of 84, first time in 7 decades. There was more to homecoming than a simple visit. The trip back to the past was emotionally charged, the starting point of his life tale. Ebsen was reunited during this visit. Considering the house in the area, no altered over the years, yet continuing to resound with the echoes of his young people. At that time, the house was privately owned, John Kenny. However, the essence of the Ebsen family appeared to remain in its walls. Buddy strolled through the rooms, thought back on the life that had permeated the room, the sound of children, the teachings that his father, the beginnings of a profession in entertainment and dance. Regarding Ebsen, returning indoors was quite an encounter, a moving instance of reunion following a lifetime of journeying, notoriety, and creative success. In addition to being private, the visit was also a festivity in the community. The presence of Ebsen gave happiness to the locals who welcomed back their hometown son with arms wide open. In the local newspaper office, Ebsen thrilled the audience by executing a dance sequence in soft shoes, a wonderful homage to his formative years as a performer and dancer. This performance was not only sentimental, it was elegance and laughter as a gift, reminding the town of warmth and creativity that had as a child he once strolled through their streets. Sufficient to pay for expansive views of certain of the most famous in Southern California scenery. From its perspective, residents could take in expansive vistas of Palos Verde Country Club, a sophisticated and verdant oasis renowned for its immaculate golf courses and carefully kept-up grounds. Outside the club, the gaze could stray to Santa Monica's vast Oceans Bay, with the expansive blue Pacific Ocean vista that seems to go on forever, dotted with cargo ships, sailboats, and the always shifting light dance on the water. The house's interior was similarly remarkable, demonstrating both exquisite workmanship and careful design. The magnificent living area was a centerpiece with stunning Palladian windows filled the room with light, with daylight as you frame the beautiful outdoor settings, such as artistic creations. These windows, with their symmetrical design and traditional arches, provided a feeling of classic elegance and access to the house, allowing bringing the outdoors in and making a light, spacious setting ideal for unwinding and entertaining visitors. The living room's completion was an opulent library, where Ebsen could withdraw to write, read, or spend time in himself after giving it some thought. The libraries. There were bookcases lining the walls, filled with includes books covering a variety of topics and passions that reflected Ebsen's diverse passions all of his life, such as mystery books, sailing, history, and biographies. This mental haven served as both a private haven and a representation of Ebsen's lifetime dedication to education and inventiveness. The formal dining area was added to the elegant atmosphere of the house. Created for formal meals and get-togethers, it was a location where friends and family could gather to eat meals together and tales, commemorate achievements, and have fun at others' presence in an environment that struck a mix between warmth and refinement. Although the house appeared opulent, it was likewise closely related to the natural, the South Bay's calm and beauty area. The estates of Palos Verde are well known for its peaceful streets and picturesque stroll paths, as well as a community-focused way of life, all of which were appealing to Ebsen's wish for tranquil surroundings. Despite prior recommendations from some supervisors and co-workers recommending said the location was too far away from the center of entertainment in Hollywood, Ebsen had long hoped to live in this scene, within the South Bay. This action was in confirmation of his goals later on life, appreciating calm, seclusion, and a stronger bond with nature than closeness to film studios and business centers. Ebsen's selection of this residence demonstrated a man who had changed over time, adopting a way of life that respected both his legacy and his own aspirations. The home was more than just a location to live. It was a physical embodiment of his accomplishments, his appreciation of beauty and comfort, as well as his desire to establish a haven in which he and Dorothy were able to appreciate their time spent together. After Buddy Ebsen passed away in 2003, Dorothy maintained a close relationship with the home and its recollections. Recognizing its importance as more than just a physical area, but as a means of transporting Ebsen's last, she made a virtual Buddy Ebsen over the years. Tour of the house as a museum. A tour of this virtual exhibition gave fans and lovers to discover the house's distinctive characteristics and learn more about Ebsen's private life, preferences, and the surroundings that he was in while his later in life. The museum functioned as a sincere remembrance, keeping the spirit of the house and providing a view of the world of a popular performer outside the screen. The house was ultimately sold in December 2008 for $2,073 million, which is the region's sustained appeal as well as the inherent worth of the real estate. An era came to an end with the sale for the home. However, Buddy's legacy, the life of Ebsen, and his relationship with Palos, the estates of Verda, survive. Despite the fact that Buddy Ebsen never possessed what North Shine Avenue, the house in Orlando, Florida's downtown, a modest house, is nonetheless a moving historic moment in the story of his biography of his family and his early years. The home he bought in 1943 with his Norma Albert, her sister, and her spouse Franklin turned into a beloved family meeting spot that acts as a friendly hub where Ebsen frequently visited guests across several decades. The history of the house's importance go back far further than the B. Buddy Ebsen's relatives had strong roots in Orlando after they relocated from 1920 in Belleville, Illinois. The Ebsens moved to Florida in search of fresh possibilities amid a time of expansion and transformation in the area. It was Buddy and his sisters are in Orlando, attended a dance studio to learn how to dance. Run by their dad, Christian Sr. Ludolf Ebsen, a choreographer and supporter of physical fitness. The studio was not just a location for teaching. It served as a fundamental area. Moment. Buddy started developing the abilities that would eventually influence his distinct career as a performer. The acquisition by Norma Albert of Early in the 1940s, the Shine Avenue residence signified the start of a new chapter for the Orlando family. For more than 4 decades, the house was considerably more than a house alone. It was a locus of closeness, customs, and shared family memories. When Franklin and Norma built this home their house, hence it became a popular location for Buddy during returns to his hometown. His being there made the place come to life, featuring Hollywood anecdotes, performances, as well as the ease of intimate family ties. The house is sentimental and historical. The significance was emphasized in recent years after Alex Cororso, its owner, who purchased the property in 2019 and was given Hannah Jacobson's letter, Norma the grandchild of Albert. The correspondence, including priceless family relics containing a picture of Buddy from 1974 Ebsen himself, is positioned with pride in front of the house on Shine Avenue. This image recorded more than a single picture. It preserved a moment that connected Ebsen's distinguished career alongside his family's persistent presence in Orlando. This physical link between the house and the legacy of Buddy Ebsen demonstrates how the home acted as an intermediary between his early years and latter years' accomplishments. Despite his notoriety and he lived in an environment that was frequently Glamorous Ebsen's foundation was still firmly established in Orlando. The house on Shine Avenue represented that relationship, a reminder that the man behind the star was molded by his childhood, his family, and the neighborhood where he initially discovered perform and dance. Franklin and Norma Albert's stay lasted until 1986, when, over 40 years later, they're located to California. This move signaled the conclusion of a period as the Alberts were the final close relatives of Ebsen to reside in Orlando, thereby shutting a lengthy period in the family's existence within the city. However, the house itself remained still as evidence of the family's past, a fragment of the local history of Orlando, connected to adored native son whose professional life had crossed genres and decades. What are your thoughts about Buddy Ebsen? Please share your thoughts in the section below. Hopefully you have discovered this useful video. Remember to leave a like, distribute, and sign up for the channel if you're interested. I appreciate you seeing this, and I'll see you soon. Videos. Farewell.